And here we are once again, your Bay Area News Group stable of columnists. On my left, Tim Kawakami. On my right, Mark Purdy.
Kind of smells like a stable.
And me in between, Monte Poole. How are you? And this week we are talking about the 49ers hosting the New Orleans Saints Saturday at Candlestick Park. First of all, the 49ers are in the playoffs.
Wait a minute.
Well, think about that.
Did this really happen?
The 49ers are in the playoffs.
Well, you know, Monty, I predicted they would win 6 games this year. I just didn't think they'd do it the first 7 weeks of the season.
7 to 9. I had them for a strong 7.
I just think I was right. They just did it in the first 7 weeks.
Honestly, come on. They're playing with house money, and they have been for a while.
Right. So anything that happens Saturday should be a bonus. Just that we're watching the game, just that we have a game, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But you know what? I give the 49ers a real chance to win this game. Because you know why, Tim? You know why, Monty? I was at the press conference. Jim Harbaugh said, "We give no quarter and we take no quarter." I love props. We did.
That's a quarter, by the way.
It's a quarter. And no, if you look at the matchup, and Tim studies this stuff much more than I do, but if you look at the matchup, it isn't that lopsided.
You look at and you talk to every single 49er player who was talking yesterday in the locker room, which I did, and you ask them silly questions, and they all refer to the way they've played all season. I mean, let's just kick it back to the way this team has played. They don't turn it over. They make big plays on defense. And they are effective enough. Well, they have incredible special teams.
Right.
They're going to need every aspect of that, as they proved in the Philadelphia game, as they proved in the Detroit game, as they proved in a lot of games, except for the Dallas game, and the Baltimore game, and the Arizona game. Every other one, as I recall, were wins. They play field position. They play tough. They don't give up. Well, a few pass plays they've given up. That's the danger, obviously, with the Saints, who were going to throw the ball up there 40 times, maybe 50 times against the 49ers. But they don't give up big running plays. They don't screw up on offense. They play the special teams game.
Right.
And when they get the big turnover, which they have gotten a lot of, they turn it into points. They're going to have to do that times 10 against the Saints.
I was going to say,
but they are set up to do it. And especially they're set up to do it at home, because you get the Saints off that fast track at the Superdome. You get them on maybe a muddy track. Maybe they accidentally water that grass a little bit too much at Candlestick.
Let the grass grow.
A little bit. Maybe they slow things down a little bit. They play to Frank Gore's strengths. They play to their defensive strength. They keep that Saints passing game a little bit slower. You just go back to the history of this season, and that's what we're basing it on. They have the style to play this game if they don't give up the big jump ball in the middle of the field, which they did to Arizona for sure with Larry Fitzgerald. And I don't think the Saints have anybody like Larry Fitzgerald. I know they don't, but Drew Brees.
Jimmy Graham is pretty
Jimmy
good.
Graham's pretty good. And Drew Brees is a lot better than John Skelton.
Right.
So there is the danger there. But
the Saints are going to score points.
The field position game is going to be huge in this game.
Here's the thing, though. The Saints score a lot of points anywhere, but they score 2 more touchdowns on turf than they do on natural surfaces. That's a big difference. I mean, if they can hold the Saints to 24, which is, I think they average about 24 to 27 on turf, on grass.
On grass.
And they average almost 40 on turf.
Okay.
So the Niners have a better chance. So when you talk about these things, the little things the Niners have to do, it sounds like you're describing a close game. My question is, how do the Niners keep this close when the Saints can throw? You know, they have Brees at quarterback, and he's throwing to Jimmy Graham, who's that's a matchup nightmare. You've got Colston, you've got Colston, you've got Meacham. If you got Lance Moore, and who's playing is in doubt, you get the hamstring. But you got Devery Henderson, you've got Darren Sproles, the Swiss Army knife. So how do they handle? This is not a team you can look at.
This is not
a team you can look at and say, you know what? If we take away this guy, we can do it. There is no one guy.
No, well, you can't do it. I know I have the answer. You keep the ball away from them by holding the ball yourself. Yesterday at the press conference, I asked Jim Harbaugh, is time of possession going to be a more important stat in this game than the usual game? And of course his answer was, well, now you're talking about there are 26 keys to the game. And then I later asked, well, is Frank Gore maybe one of those 26 keys? Or someone did. And he said, yeah. And I said, top 10? He said, yeah. Look at here. I did study some of the stats. New Orleans defense gives up 5 yards per rushing play. All right? What do the 49ers like to do? They like to give the ball to Gore, and I don't know what, he can get 5 yards. If they give up 5 yards per rushing play, they hold on to the ball. Yeah. They limit. New Orleans' offense is going to be productive. They have been productive. They're always going to be productive. If you limit their possessions, they can't score as many points. It's simple math. And so, we were talking before, I joked, if the 49ers win the coin toss, do they defer? Because that's giving New Orleans another possession. You say, yes, they will they will defer. But you've got to keep the ball out of those guys' hands because they will score. So keep the ball yourself.
Okay,
use up time on the clock.
Here's what I hear when you say this. What I think about is when Stanford played Oregon this year, everybody said, well, if Stanford could kind of ball control and keep the ball out of Oregon's hands, okay, let's say you do that. How many plays does Oregon need to score?
Right.
How many plays does New Orleans need to score? They can score in 20
that's
seconds.
What Oregon's coach Chip Kelly says time of possession is overrated. But I disagree. I think that so they score in 2 plays, but if they score in 2 plays every possession, if you possess the ball 45 minutes, they're still not going to get that many possessions.
Because the Saints are the closest thing in the NFL to the Oregon Ducks. I mean, they run it. They have a tempo. They go fast.
Right.
They want to get downfield. Right. They don't care about time of possession. They just want to move the ball, and when they get the ball, they want to move it as soon as they can, as far as they can.
So how did St. Louis beat them? How did Tampa Bay beat them?
Breeze didn't play very well. That's the point.
Okay.
It's
and the 49ers are not going to make it easy.
And Breeze he almost threw a couple interceptions against Detroit. They dropped him. The 49ers cannot drop them.
Gotta make the plays
cannot
when
drop
you get
them. If they get them, and specifically, they're going to have to create them some short fields for themselves. Or as Monty said off air when we were talking more casually,
we were talking about
take it in themselves. Score touchdowns on defense. Score touchdowns on special teams. Block.
So that's the formula: one defensive touchdown, limit their possessions.
Yeah.
And make Breeze as uncomfortable as possible.
How many points do the Niners have to score no matter how they do it?
I'd say 27 is a good number.
I'll say 26. Because they're going to kick more field goals.
It was his Price is Right. You're going one lower than
that? No, yeah.
So
just to disagree.
Can they afford to do what they've done so often this season, which is move the ball, and then get into the red zone and stop, and call out to David Akers?
If you come away with a field goal, that's okay as long as New Orleans scores fewer points. I mean, if you kick 4 field goals and score 2 touchdowns, that's a lot of points. If you kick 4 field goals and score 1 touchdown, you got to make sure New Orleans doesn't score. I mean,
I think if they go out there and score a touchdown or 2 and kick 4 field goals, I don't think it's enough.
I think they got to score more touchdowns than field goals. Whatever that balance is going to be.
How about this? The offense has to score more touchdowns than their defense.
Well, then they have to score more touchdowns than New Orleans scores touchdowns. Probably is a good factor. I just think they can't get out of what they do.
Right.
If they start saying, Alex Smith, go throw the ball. Let's go crazy. They haven't done that all year.
Except look what Denver did against.
Well, that's all
they went away.
That's because Pittsburgh wasn't even guarding the pass there. I think the Saints are going to defend the pass. I think they got to play to what their strengths are, which is protect the ball. Because if they turn it over, if the 49ers turn it over, they lose the game.
But they don't turn it over. That's the most, to me, that's
they haven't all year.
They haven't all year.
But you look at this, the Saints defense, the Niners defense is #1 against the run. They're terrific. Yeah. The Saints defense is average against the run. But against the pass, though, the Saints, they take chances. They don't have a pass rush.
Right.
Their leading pass sack man was the safety.
Yeah.
So when you look at the Saints, they blitz. They have to blitz to get pressure on the quarterback. My question though, Alex Smith.
You gonna hit me?
Alex Smith, can he come through? Can he be the guy that can win this game? Because to beat Detroit or to beat New Orleans, you almost have to throw the ball.
Well, I mean, his confidence. Would you guys agree? His confidence is really built through this season. He's learned to trust his intelligence. He's a really smart guy, and now he's trusting that intelligence. I think he can be good enough. I think it's more important that Delaney Walker plays.
Well, I don't think he's going to.
You don't think he's going to play?
Not this game.
Or that somebody has to play as well, because that I think as the season progressed, that he was a guy that
well, he wouldn't catch a lot of passes.
No, but he was making all the plays that allowed the other guys to catch passes.
I think Crabtree is the big receiver, as we always talk about him. Hasn't been a huge factor through this year, but at the end of the year, when Alex threw that one ball he throws, kind of up in the air, kind of grab ball, it was to Crabtree. And I think it's the one guy he believes is going to come down with it for sure when it's 30 yards down the field. That huge pass against Seattle, which they needed to win that game. It's not going to happen all the time. Crabtree's not a guy who's going to go for 12 catches.
Right.
Here's
he's not Megatron.
He might get 2 that change the game though, and I think that's the one guy where Alex even talked about this a little bit. A lot of times, if he's coming to a receiver late, he purposely throws it out of bounds because he doesn't want to throw that pick. Crabtree might be the one guy, if it's a 50-50 ball, maybe not 50-50 ball, 55-45 ball, he trusts him. Throw the ball up there. He just doesn't do it and has been coached not to do it with any other receiver. Crabtree's the guy that I can see one of those up and outs where he gets 42 yards,
Right.
and it busts open, it changes the field, might be a touchdown. I think they need one of those. I think they definitely need it.
Here's what can't happen. They can't get behind by 2 touchdowns.
No.
That can't happen.
It's over then.
Yeah.
It's
But-
over then
so-
because Greg Williams, the Saints defensive coordinator, he starts sending guys back and forth. And I don't know what you guys think, but I think if they're down by 2 touchdowns and the Saints are blitzing Alex, I mean, I think at that point you start to see the Niners kind of come unglued there because
I don't
they
know
can't
if
run
they've
their way
gotten
through that.
But they've gotten down that much to maybe Philly, and that was it this year. I think that they don't play a game where that happens. That is
Right.
that is the beauty of the Jim Harbaugh, Vic Fangio game is that they never get down. In fact, they usually get ahead because they play so well defensively off the start. That's why they want their defense on the field, and I'm sure they'll want their defense on the field.
I'm really interested
because
to
defense sets the tone for them early.
You know,
gets them the short field. They score early, and then they play from the
Yeah, Vic Fangio is, the defensive coordinator. I'm really interested to see how he tries to disrupt Breeze because the Saints offense, I mean, I remember Breeze was at Pebble Beach playing golf and he was talking to some reporters about Downs and how it was just so great. When he comes to the line, by the time he gets under the quarterback, or by the time the ball is, he knows where he's going to throw. It's like that quick boom, boom, boom. He can tell you by the time he walks the line and looks, I'm going to go here, and it's going to go there. And so, how do you disrupt that rhythm? I'm really interested.
Do
to
you
see
rush
what
him or do you coverage? That's the
Do
question.
you drop back?
Fangio tends to be a coverage guy, and he's got some good coverage.
You got to
players,
rush him.
But I do think they're going to have to let loose a little bit. Absolutely, I think they're going to have to do a little bit
They
outside
really
the
have
norm.
to bother him. They have
Yeah.
to get him out of that
And
comfort zone.
and then their DBs have to play some. They have to play some tough defense because they're going to get singled up a little bit more. Than
I, of course he was going to say this, but I did ask Fangio a couple weeks ago. We always talk about how the offense, they haven't used all their playbook
Right.
yet. I said, have you used all your playbook this year? Oh, no. You tell me what percentage you still left in there? He goes, no. But I got the impression he's been holding some things back defensively.
Okay. Well, Alden Smith is a guy, and he played 45% of the snaps.
He'll play more than that
You
on
would
Sunday.
think he'll play more. You would think he'd be the key to their pass rush. He and Justice Smith on that right side is a pretty tough little tandem. You put him out there a lot against a team that's probably not going to run the ball that
And,
much. And so you can take Paris Harrelson off the field. You can use other guys. Those are the stuff that we're going to see. And they're going to stack up these sort of things against Drew Brees, and we'll see how the game plan goes. I think if I had to make a pick, and that's what I'm going to do right now, by the way, I think the 49ers just play the right kind of game to win this game. I don't think,
score?
I said 27 before. I say 27-24, 27-23, right around in that range. I think it's going to be a 20s game. It's going to be a fourth quarter game like it always seems to be in these big games when you have a team that plays conservative like the 49ers. They want to get it here. Maybe Akers kicks a field goal.
Well, see, there's if it is close, I was going to say like 26-21, 26. So we're kind of in the same ballpark, and we haven't really mentioned that. If it comes down to the last, minute or 2 minutes, and you have to kick a field goal. You got the leading field goal kicker in the league, the Pro Bowl kicker, right?
And Lawrence's kicker is like 64 years old.
And he's been kicking, but he's been kicking a candlestick all year. The other guy's been kicking inside a dome. So I think the 49ers have to feel good if it comes down to the last.
I could be entirely wrong about this, but my sense is that the Niners are not ready for this big a stage. They've as far as they've come in this one season, as far as they're not ready for this type of stage. In that when the kickoff happens, it can take them a little while to kind of get their bearings. I think the Saints are going to come out ready to play, and the Niners have not seen a quarterback like Drew Brees. They've seen Eli Manning. They've seen Mike Vick. That's the best they've seen.
Tony Romo.
Yeah, but they haven't seen a guy like Brees who can pick apart a defense quite that well and has so many weapons to choose from. Because when you start working with the receivers, that's when you get Sproles, you get Chris Ivory, you get Pierre Thomas. There's so many things to look at, and I don't see how you can sort of break them down into individual parts and say, okay, we'll do this to this guy, we'll do this to this guy, because there's just too many guys. So I think the Saints win by double digits.
Okay.
I mean,
Wait a minute, you're saying John Skelton, Tavares Jackson, and Kellen Clemens aren't Drew Brees' equal? I gotta stop that right here.
Well,
Not quite.
did I mention how the 49ers need to possess the ball more?
They need to.
I'm agreeing with you.
And
in
you
that
can do
sense
some of that against the Saints. You can
Yeah.
do some of that.
Well,
but I just
if you
don't
run
think
the
in the
ball,
long
use
run.
that
I don't. There's
I
enough of
do think this was, we always try to read between the lines too much. I do think Harbaugh, that is his one concern, that his team doesn't have enough experience for this. Somebody asked him last week, Was it you asked him? Somebody said how much, how much does experience play a part in this sort of thing? He says, experience is really important,
sure.
you know, and so he knows that
Yeah.
The Saints
that
have-
first
and
quarter,
clearly the Saints have been
they've got to
through it,
they got to get through the first quarter in good shape.
That's again their style. Plays
Which is why they shouldn't defer, Monty.
And that said, though, remember last year, the Saints went to Seattle
Yeah,
Right.
and didn't play well.
played terribly.
You know,
They got beat up physically.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch had a pretty good run against them, as I
Right.
recall. I do think that's the formula for beating the Saints is get them on a road and play physical. And that is what, the 49ers are more physical than Seattle
Yeah.
was last year, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Doesn't mean they're going to win. Doesn't mean they're guaranteed to win. Doesn't mean they won't screw up. Doesn't mean they won't turn it over. But that is the way you do beat this Saints team. I think the 49ers matchup might be a better matchup versus Saints than the Packers are against the Saints. Maybe not at Lambeau Field.
Right.
I'm just saying theoretically you put them both on a neutral
Right.
field.
So who's-
because
who's-
the 49ers they're not going to play in. They're not going to feed the Saints
Right.
beast. They're not going to give them the ball quick short field boom boom boom
Yeah.
boom and it's
So
21.
we've talked about a lot of things. Who's the most important 49er player Sunday?
I think Patrick Willis at full speed will be really important. I don't think he was when he came back for that St. Louis game. I think Patrick Willis running around at full speed is going to be getting he's going to play Jimmy Graham a lot, which is huge, and he's going to be filling the gap obviously on the run like he always does. I think 52 when he's at his best, if he's at his best, is going to be the best player on the field, and that will be very important.
I say Deshaun Golson because Deshaun needs to patrol the secondary. He needs to be the intimidator because if you don't get to Breeze, you got to get to his receivers.
Right.
And you got to knock the crap out of those guys. And I think he's a guy that likes to do that. If you can get those guys looking over their shoulders, maybe you affect the way they go after the ball.
Okay, I say Frank Gore.
Okay.
For the reasons I mentioned. You know, holding on the ball, running clock, keeping it away from the Saints. So,
Last thing before we go.
yeah.
30 years ago,
Yes.
49ers go 13-3 after going 6-10.
Right.
Last year they go 6-10. This year they go 13-3.
Yeah.
They got Bill Walsh then, they got Jim Harbaugh now.
Yeah.
How do you compare the two?
Yeah.
And what would Bill Walsh think of what he's saying right
I think he would admire Harbaugh's energy. I don't know that it's a different kind of team. Walsh did a lot of stuff on deception.
Right.
Harbaugh's doing stuff
Straight
physically,
ahead.
let's go beat them, so it's different that way. But I think Bill, one time I asked Bill Walsh, who's the best coach of all time in your mind? And you can't say yourself, of course. And he said Vince Lombardi, which I found really interesting. So I expected him to say something like, I don't know, Sid Gilman or
Like more
Paul Brown.
creative?
Yeah, but at heart, Bill Walsh liked that kind of Vince Lombardi football, and that's kind of the way this team plays.
Yeah, I don't think you'd say you have to throw. Win the game. Win the game. And the thing that always gets semi-overlooked on those 49ers teams is how good their defense is.
Exactly. That's
81
what I was
wasn't a
saying.
great
Yeah.
defense. It was a
Right.
young defense. But
They were aggressive.
This is
They
better
were
than-
physical.
team.
This is better than
running
the
They were
yeah,
physical,
yeah.
though.
And Eddie Diaz said it himself a couple times now that he thinks this team, man for man, is a better team.
I think it is a
They have
better
more
team than
talent
81.
Yeah, you just can't factor in the magic of Joe Montana. You can't factor in that you know that he actually won 4 Super Bowls. You can't quite this doesn't quite measure out that way. But winning football games is the only thing that matters. Bill Walsh, if he had a running team, I think he'd be just fine if he went 13-3 and won the Super Bowl. Now, he'd like to throw the ball too a little bit. When you have Joe Montana and Steve Young, you tend to do that. I think he'd be fine with this if there's a little more wrinkle. I mean, we'll see if they got some more wrinkle in this offense. They keep saying they do.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they're going to break it out all of a sudden and we'll see 5 different things. But maybe
Right.
we'll see 1 or 2 different things. Maybe we'll see a little reverse one way, or maybe we'll see something different. They might not need it in this game. If they win it and they go to Lambeau, they're probably going to need a couple of them.
Well, we do have something to look forward to. So
You didn't say your opinion on that. What would Walsh think?
I think he's going to say this, what Tim said about the defense. I think Bill's teams were known for their offense, but his good teams also brought defense. And I think he's going to say, you know what? I really like the defense more like the offense.
I think he would also appreciate the way Harbaugh does the motivational stuff. You know, I think Bill did a little differently, but he loved that kind of that part of football too.
Enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
Mighty
we
men.
do have a great game to look forward to. We hope it turns out to be a great game.
And when we're all right in our predictions, we will move on with humble hearts. We will
Thank
have
you,
humble
Coach.
hearts.
Thank you, Coach Harbaugh.
When our predictions turn out to be correct.
In any case, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, until game time, goodbye.
Yep.
Have fun watching it.